today. Welcome to Jumpstart Your Business. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone's doing all right. Everyone doing okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Can hear you, Blake. How you doing?
Okay. Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties. But I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So happy to have you here. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Ole Sharonki.
Hi.
I am
Hi,
co-founder
Los.
of.
Hi.
Hey, morning, morning. Sorry. You doing all right? Oh, you can't hear me? Is this a little bit better? Let me turn
No,
on my.
I can hear you fine, actually.
Okay.
Maybe on their end.
Okay. All right. Let me
Yeah,
make sure
same with me.
make
I
sure I
can
got
hear
my
you.
levels.
I hear you.
Make sure I got my levels right. Got this decent system here.
Can't hear
Uh,
Ole.
All right.
I cannot freaking hear Ole.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me make sure if we need any what do they call it? Audio, anything. You want to give me a, is it good? It's a little okay. All right. So my name is Ole Sharonki. I am co-founder of Laddering Your Success, which is an edtech startup designed to help young people find their purpose and create lifelong learners. I want to say good morning, and I want to say thank you for coming. And I want to let you know that this may seem like another just, everyday workshop or something that you kind of saw in passing or that a friend recommended to you, and you thought to yourself, well, yeah, maybe we'll try it out. But I want to let you know that isn't exactly what's going on today. Today, you are going to be introduced to the thing or the things that will differentiate your business from the others. Today, you will be introduced to the soul of your business. What does that mean? Well, let me give you a quick example. Chick-fil-A is only open 6 days a week. They pay their employees amongst the highest of fast food employees. And they're known for having the most polite employees. Yet, they are top 3 when it comes to profit for fast food companies. Why is that? Well, you got to look at the soul of your business. You got to look at the values that your business has. You got to look at those things that can't be seen, right? But you can hear them. You can feel them. Why is Chick-fil-A always known as a company that has folks saying, my pleasure? Why are they known for having people that go out of their way to help their customers, right? You see an average McDonald's commercial, you see an average Burger King commercial or an average Wendy's commercial. But when you see one of those Chick-fil-A commercials, notice what they have. They have the testimonial with the employee and a customer, and they talk about this really deep connection that they have. It's something more than just going in and getting your meal and driving off, right? It's a really special event that happens when you go to Chick-fil-A. The reason why companies like Chick-fil-A and others are able to do so well is because they have certain set of values. They've got a defined mission, a defined vision, a defined purpose that they abide by very strongly. And they're able to get their employees to abide by that. And you see the output of that by the success that they have. I want to let you know that when I first started this journey, it was a process for me to understand things like vision, things like your mission, things like your purpose. But it's been time tested and true that when you stick to those values, when you stick to your purpose, it will defy the odds from wherever it comes from. So I really don't want you to think about this as just another event where, oh, these guys are going to be talking about this and that and business and all that other stuff. We're going to be talking about business, but we're going to be talking about how to set yourself apart. How is it that you can sell the same thing as 12 other people, but they come see you? Why is it that you can have the exact same business in the exact same city right next to someone, right next to your competition, but they come see you? It's much more deeper than a product, right? It's much more deeper than a service. Are you aligned in your vision? Are you aligned in your mission? Do you know what your company's vision is? Do you know what your company's mission is? Do you yourself, do you know your purpose? Do you have a set of value? What's your value proposition? How are you going to set yourself apart from the others? If you meet someone within 30 seconds, can you quickly let them know exactly what you're about and have them hook, line, and sinker? These are the things that we're going to be learning today. I am so excited for you. Please, 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 please. I don't want you, please make sure right now, go get 2 pens, just in case one goes out. Get a pencil as a backup. Make sure you got an eraser. Make sure you have plenty of paper. All right. Make sure you have all your note taking. Those of you who are Gen Z, I can't even say Gen Z. A lot of millennials do it now. But those of you who got your tablets ready with your little pen, make sure you got it ready. Make sure you've got those notes prepared, your note-taking tools prepared, because you're going to learn a lot today. You're going to learn the soul of your business, I guarantee. I'm so excited for you, because for those that are here, you have automatically set yourself so far in ahead of those behind you, or those that are even on the same level as you. Guaranteed, by the time you leave today, you are going to have something concrete that's going to take it to the next level. Guaranteed. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry for the technical difficulties that we had, but these things happen. Just like in business, guaranteed, some of you who have already started with your ideas, and these things are going to happen. But the question is, how do you respond? Right? Do you duck under, or do you stand calm in the midst of a storm? Right? So before we get started, I just want to ask real quickly, give me 1 or 2 things that you're seeking to learn or gain from this event, right? There had to be a reason for you to look at this and say, I'm looking to get help in this particular way, right? I'm looking to get understanding of this particular topic or subject, right? So give me 1 or 2 things that you're seeking to gain from this event. You can either say it, but I would really like you to type it in just so we can have it there. So our speakers who are coming in, they can kind of get it in there, and we can kind of know which direction we should take this. Okay, so I'll give you a couple seconds, and I'm gonna come in and we're gonna read what we see. All right. While we're waiting for a couple others to put in what they're looking to gain from this event, once again, just super excited for you for joining. Thank you so much for thank you. This is not for me. I'm saying thank you to you for realizing or saying, man, there's something here that I'm really passionate about, that I'm looking to do, that I'm looking to start. Any successful business idea, concept started from kind of where we are, right? If you think about any company right now, I mentioned Chick-fil-A, that was the example that I used, primarily because Wesley Okeke, one of the people who's going to be speaking here, that's one of the examples that he gave to me when we first started this journey in building our business. But you can think of any company. Think about Apple, Sony, Walmart, Louis Vuitton, all these different companies. Every single company has a mission, a vision, a set of values, a value proposition, something that makes them different from the others, right? I think about the shoes that I wear. Adidas, for me, I really like Adidas. Granted, I am quite frugal. Shout out to those of you who have read or are reading Millionaire Next Door, right? Learning about quality and things like that. But everything has a set of a mission, a vision, set of values, right? All right, so let's take a look here. Blake said, I need help with marketing, web, logo design, business to attract more customers. Awesome, awesome. Susan, morning, Susan, how you doing? She said, structure for defining my why and tools to get started in my next adventure. We getting saucy. I like this. I like this. I love the why portion. Good, good. Ryan said time management away from a high level exposure job that eats time. Yeah. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Aisha said, I came here to learn what steps to take to find my purpose and how to align a business with that. You're speaking to my heart there. You're speaking to my heart. That's beautiful. Daniel Hill, shout out to Daniel Hill. He said, marketing and drop shipping companies, right? So thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for putting that note in there and letting us know what you're looking for help with. This is awesome because what this is going to do is, as our speakers come up and they start to talk, they can start to guide or move their talk toward whatever you need help with. And that's going to be key because we don't want anyone to leave here with a stone not unturned, right? We want everyone to leave here with something concrete to be able to start that business. I'm going to stop talking here in a little bit, but I just want to say thank you again. And I want to let you know that please don't take what you're doing lightly. Do not take what you're doing lightly. I cannot stress that enough. I have seen the power in vision and mission. I am trying so hard to not sound like Tony Robbins right now, but it just hits different. I guarantee you, it hits different when you're doing something because it's what you were destined to do, right? And this is what I call flow. And a lot of people call that flow state, right? Where you're just moving like water and it just feels like what you're supposed to do, right? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my best friend, the founder of Laddering Your Success, who I had the incredible honor of co-founding the startup with, a man of God, a man of purpose, a man of vision. But most importantly, he incorporates three things that I love: HDI, humility, discipline, and integrity. I'm going to throw this over to my good friend, Festus Omoye.
Man, Olay, with that kind of welcome, make a brother feel special. so yeah, I have the honor of moderating today and also presenting today. And as Olay shared, I helped found Laddering Success, or founded Laddering Success, just off of this idea of being able to take a step-by-step approach to personal success, and primarily in academic success, education. But education is so much more than what we receive at school. Education is a lifestyle, truly. And so with that being said, we're going to kind of hop right into things. So I'll kind of lay out how we're going to moderate today and how things are going to go. Basically, you're going to hear from 4 different experts for around 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, maybe around 15. And then after they finish, the expert finished, we're going to take 3 questions. Okay, so we'll take 3 questions, just kind of open it up, answer those 3 questions, and then we'll go to the next expert, right? Unfortunately, Dr. Scott Davis is not able to be here today, but he recorded a video especially just for this. So he made sure, and trust me, what you're going to hear from him is phenomenal. It's a game-changing paradigm. So the hope and goal for this today is everybody here on this call who is purpose-driven, purpose-based, they want to do something meaningful with their businesses, is to be able to, first and foremost, identify who you are and what that means, and to start building the capacity to grow your business and scale your business up, right? So we're not just talking about, hey, man, I want to make a couple extra dollars here or there. We're talking about, I want to change my family tree. I want to change my community. I want to change, I want to be able to impact the nation with what we do. So often we think about business and we think about the Elon Musk and this person and that person, and we tend to think about them as so far off and so different from us. But in reality, they just were able to codify their mission and their vision and their purpose, and then go out and impact the world with that mission and vision and purpose. And so this is what we hope that you all are going to be able to do today, from being able to give jobs to people who are in your communities, to even being able to supplement the tax base in your communities, so that dollars aren't just flying out of the window, and again, being able to create generational wealth. And so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start my presentation. Okay. Okay. And everybody able to see that pretty well? Okay, perfect. So we're going to hop right into it. I'll skip over my personal story, but just for the sake of today, we're going to talk about the Japanese ikigai. And so for those who struggle in terms of kind of finding purpose, finding direction, we'll talk about the ikigai, and then we'll talk about the LYS be no do methodology. Okay. So the ikigai comes from this kind of thing called Taoism, or we get feng shui, yin and yang, all of those different types of things. And basically, it's just designed as a way of being able to find purpose and flow with life. Now, depending on your age and stage in your life, you could do the ikigai over and over again to almost help as kind of a tracking beacon toward the goals that you want to accomplish personally. Okay. So when it comes to the ikigai, you want to start off with what is it that you love? Okay. What is it that you love? So that first big circle, you want to identify things that you love. And I would highly encourage you right now, you got a pencil, you got a pen, you got paper and pen, just go ahead and draw out these 4 circles, right? And then just start jotting down what you love. What are the top 3 things that you love? Do you love music? Do you love movies? Do you love art? Do you love, do you just love business? Do you love healthcare? Do you love exercise? Do you love, what is it that you love? So this is focused on you and identifying what drives you. In the next circle, you want to focus on what the world needs. So when it comes to developing our purpose, when it comes to developing our business, we need to define our businesses based off of a need. Why is that? Because there's a difference between wants and needs, and oftentimes we don't think about how this relates to how our purchasing behavior, right? If you have a want-based business, so for example, let's say you have a clothing company. The need for clothes is going to stay forever, right? Because people need to keep themselves from the elements, from being exposed to the elements, right? But the design for clothes, the art on the clothes is a want, right? Because that displays our inner passion, our inner desire for how we want to look. But the need for clothes goes nowhere. And so when you think about that, and as it relates to business, and as it relates to creating things, there's somebody who can say, hey, I'm going to make a clothing factory, right? The clothing factory can supply many different designs of clothes, right? so they could supply those different designs, but then those who are creating the different designs can change out from time to time. So this is just something to keep in mind, right? So what does the world truly need? Does it need designer? Does it need more artists? Does it need more people who do exercise? Does it need more? What is it that the world truly needs? Okay, so this is where you have to really step back from yourself and focus on others. So then the next question is, what is the world, what is society willing to pay for? Okay. And so if you think about it, there's always a range in which people are willing to spend. And I love using the analogy of hamburgers. Okay. I don't know why I do that, but I just do. So think about the most expensive hamburger you can get, right? For me, I'll tell you where I got this analogy from is I go to a place called Fleming Steakhouse, and Fleming Steakhouse, we go and we this when we was younger, me and my wife, we go on this date, we go to their happy hour, and at their happy hour, this burger is $15, right? And I'm thinking $15 for a hamburger, and that's the happy hour. So anyway, I start connecting dots. I said, wait. Burger King charges $2 for a burger, whereas they charge $15 for a burger. What is the difference? What is the difference? Because the world's going to pay for a hamburger, but what sets apart the person who's at $2 for a burger, 99 cents for a burger, and a person who's at $15 for a burger? We're going to get into this in a little bit, okay? And then next, what are your skills? Okay, what are your skills? What are you good at? What are things that people readily identify and say, man, you're so different when it comes to X, Y, or Z? What are the things that you can actually sharpen and learn to sharpen? So if it comes down to business, or if it comes down to your athletic ability, or whatever it comes down to, what are those things that you can sharpen? And I like to use the analogy of sports, because sometimes people are so skilled in sports when they're younger, and then as they age, they're no longer skilled in that sport. Well, the thing is, can they take some of the mental skill set, some of the emotional skill set that they learned in sport, and transfer those transferable skills into other areas and arenas? So between your skill and what you love, that's where you'll find passion. Okay? That's where you'll find your passion. Okay? And between what you love and what the world needs, that's where you'll find mission. So that means what drives you to impact the world. Between what the world needs and what the world is willing to pay for, that's where you'll find vocation. All right, or calling. Between what the world is willing to pay for and your skills, that's where you'll find profession. And so, as I shared before with the hamburger analogy, let's say somebody is able to make a hamburger, right? Everybody's, taken mama's skillet, right? And made a hamburger before, right? So what would somebody pay for your hamburger? Now, if you think about this Burger King 99-cent hamburger, $2 hamburger, and the Fleming's $15 hamburger, $20 hamburger, the difference is Fleming's has set an environment that makes you willing to spend that much more. They got the thick white tablecloths, they got the lighting dimmed down, they got the music on point. You know what I mean? They set this whole entire ambiance that you're not going to get at Burger King. And because they set this ambiance, and then on the menu, they said, they took this cut of meat and that cut of meat and this. And so because of the different cuts, it has perfect blend of, juiciness and, all of this stuff. So because they outlined the details in the skills that went into the burger and created the environment, they're able to charge differently. And so often right now, we kind of have this saying or colloquialism in our community is charge your worth, right? Everybody says charge your worth, right? Girl, charge your worth. Well, this is the thing. If you don't know what sets you apart from others, how can you? If you don't know what you love and what the world needs and what the world is willing to pay for what the world needs, and your skill sets and why your skill set is better than the next person's skill set, and how you're passionate about what you're doing, and understand how your mission impacts the community, impacts your family, impacts the world. If you're not able to define those things, how can the world pay you more for what you're trying to do? It can't. And so this is why we have to set ourselves apart. And what do I mean by set ourselves apart? Not just I want to look different, but actually do the inner work, right? And we're going to talk about this inner work in the next little segment that I'm about to go to figuring out what our the us factor is, okay? And so the us factor comes when we look at being, knowing, and doing. And so being is greater than knowing. Knowing is technically not greater than doing, but they're almost equal. But you have to know what you're doing. So anyway, let's hop into this. So let's talk about being. The first aspect of being is your character, your values, and your principles. Your character, your values, and your principles. Your character, your values, and your principles. So when I talk about character, I just don't mean the moral character. I mean what animates you, what drives you, what makes you set apart, what makes Mickey Mouse different from Minnie Mouse, different from Goofy, different from Daffy Duck. There's an animating factor in that character that you could tell the difference in who they are. What are your values? What do you hold that's true? Is it just everything that came from your community? Or from your parents, or from your neighborhood, or are there other things that you value? And are you able to express those values? Okay, and finally, what are your principles? What are the maxims, the things that you stand on, that you say, I'm going to stand on this come hell or high water? Because if you don't have these things in order, personally, it's hard to have them in order for your business. So now let's talk about, let's talk about knowing. So when it comes to knowing, there are two aspects of knowing that have to be there. First and foremost, what resources are available? And secondly, how can you use those resources? Okay, so there are resources that are available to you that might not be available to the next person. And there are resources that are available at this stage that you're in currently that you might not be leveraging properly to help you grow your business. And then you need to know how to maximize the use of those resources. How do I get the most out of this thing to impact my business? And then the last thing is doing. In order to do properly, you have to have three elements: a plan, a process, and then execution. To do properly, you have to have a plan, you have to have a process, and then you have to have execution. Now, between what you do and who you are, that's where your passion and your purpose shine. So somebody says, oh, I know Festus. Do they know Festus for laddering success? Do they know Festus for how he treats his kids, how he treats his family? What do they know Festus for? See, that's where people define their passion and their purpose. And that's how you know who you want to get to know. I want to deal with people who are passionate about the things in life or similar things in life that I'm passionate about. And people can sense passion. Between being and knowing is relationships. So the things that you know, since you know them, you're going to automatically talk to people about what you know. You can't talk to people about what you don't know. So if you're at a job and you're trying to start a business, and obviously those things sometimes conflict with each other, I can't talk to certain people in my job environment about business because guess what? We know how to be employees together. We don't know how to start a business, right? Because those things might be antithetical in the office space. So now I got to get new relationships. Who has successfully left their job and launched a business? So now I need to get closer to those people, right? So then between the things we know and what we do, this is where we get our academia and our skill set. This is where we find out, listen, in order for me to do better, I need to know better. And if in order for me to know better, I need to go study. I can't just sit up there and hope it's going to fall in my lap. I need to change what I watch on TV. I need to change who I listen to. I need to change what I listen to. I need to make all those different changes. And then that's how we find our personal path to success, by being, knowing, and doing. So that's it for me. Okay. I'll take 3 questions. I hope that was impactful. I don't even hope it was impactful. I know it's impactful because that's that sauce. So I know we're going to have some fun here today. So let's open it up for questions. You could just unmute yourself and ask your question real quick. And if you don't feel like coming on the mic, you can just type your question in the chat.
I have a quick question. This is Ryan Walker. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ryan, I can. Welcome. Go right ahead. Ask your question.
Thank you. I think you shared a good point that I always run into. I'm in a high exposure position. I feel like I know what I want to do, and I always have trouble with that process part, right? Because of the time. I'm doing well. You know, I have a 30-day strategy, and because my job, I'm in project management and real estate. Sometimes jackknifes and things will happen and come up and blow up. It eats my time. I just want your perspective on creating a plan within the plan if you're in that sort of chaotic environment and you're trying to move to the next level, and it's always chaotic. That's been my Achilles heel.
Okay, it sounds like you have a normal schedule that you typically follow, and then things will come up and then they'll throw your schedule off to be erratic. So sometimes you're not able to set aside the amount of time that you need to execute your 30-day plan. That's what I'm hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's habitual, right? You know, so then I'll get through a certain point, you know, it's habitual. Yeah.
Oh, okay, very good. So it's good that you're in project management, because as a project manager, you know, sequence is one of the biggest things when it comes to getting something executed well. So number one, have you defined the sequence that you need to get done to move to the next level, right? So then that way, what ends up happening is if you define the sequence, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I'll always know whatever happens, I need to finish B, right? And so there's a tool called the bullet. I think it's called the bullet calendar, or the bullet notebook. Okay, and so the way that the bullet notebook works is, and you could YouTube it, and when I get off, I'll make sure I find the link and put the link in the chat as well. But basically, if you plan out a day and you bullet point, you know, these are the top 5 things I need to do in the day. And you include in there what you need to get done for your business. And then whatever happens during that day, you know, I accomplished 3 of the 5 things. The next 2 things roll over to the next day as bullet points, right? And so I keep those things in mind as it rolls over to the next day until they get done. So if I have my overall sequence for what I'm trying to get accomplished, right? You know, A through Z. And for some reason, you know, the 15th of the month goes crazy and I'm stuck on G. G is always going to be the number 1 priority for me the next day, because then that way I know I can get G done. You see what I'm saying? So that's the number 1 thing. Okay. Now, the number 2 thing that I would use to address this is reworking your long-term priorities. And what do I mean by that? The only way we get the long-term thing done is by accomplishing something today, right? Now, the tough part when you got a job and you have a job that pays well is the golden handcuffs. That is the tough part, right? So I'm getting paid so well, it's paying my bills. Look, I can't give up what's paying my bills to this other thing, right? And so what ends up happening is we lose sight of the scalability and the the big win in the long term. And I'll use this personal example. When I started my business MedExfit Houston, I started my business going to school and working at a job. And it was like a job, it was in healthcare. People, oh man, that's a great job. And so what I did was I just said, let me start taking one client at a time, maybe two. Why? Because I understood that going and getting another part-time job or something like that would not necessarily scratch the itch, right? Because obviously, nobody's going to pay you exactly what you need to do for you to be comfortable to do all the things that you want to do. So over time, what would happen is I would add on another client. And as I would add on the other client, I charge a little bit more. And I charge a little bit more. And I charge a little bit more. Until what I did in my side business exceeded what I was making at the full-time job. And so some people call FU money, right? So you get to a point where when they start pissing you off at the job, you be like, man, y'all talking crazy today, and then they call you in the office, they say, Ryan, and you say, what? Okay, what you want to talk about today, okay? Because I ain't trying to hear it. And then it gets to a certain point that you say, man, why am I wasting my time with these people? And the big thing about it is what you'll find is if you started to charge more little by little, you probably would make just as much working almost half the time. And so by the time you left your job, you'd replace your salary and you'd be working about half as much as you were working there. And so I could get some more sauce. Well, you know what? Let me get this sauce, okay? I'll get this sauce, and then I need to pass it on, okay?
Oh yeah,
so,
appreciate it.
The easy way of doing this is look at the industry that you're in and what the current fees for service are being charged for that industry. So, for example, I'll take the hamburger analogy. If the average hamburger is $8, okay, I know I could charge $8 for a hamburger. Why? Because the average people are expecting an $8 hamburger, right? So how many hamburgers do I have to make at $8 in order to make my salary? And so if I say, man, let me sit down and break it down, because I get like this sometimes. I say, man, let's say I make $300 a day. So how many hamburgers I gotta sell? Okay, 300 divided by 8. I gotta sell X amount of hamburgers. Okay, how many hours do I have to sell X amount of hamburgers? What's the most effective way for me to sell X amount of hamburgers in the allotted time? I need to take pre-orders. So now I gotta, hey, let me go to this business and say, look, how many hamburgers y'all want? Okay, I got so many hours to drop off them hamburgers, and I want to talk that up. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is how you break it down to where you make it sizable chunks to where you can say, now I can move out of this business in this little allotted amount of time, and I can still make the same amount of money. So I know that was helpful. We're kind of pressed a little bit for time. So thank you, Ryan, for the question.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So we'll take one more question, and then we're going to turn it over to the video from Dr. Scott Davis. So any other questions? I think I seen some pop up in the chat. On the Ikigai concept, that's a good question. I would say YouTube, just YouTube the Ikigai. Yeah, I would say that's probably the easiest way of finding it. But I tend to study a lot of like different cultures and stuff like that. I just think it's interesting because there's, this is the thing, I think human beings have far more in common than we do different from one another. And because we have far more in common, if there are truths, and I'm talking about high level truths that exist, those high level truths, in order for them to exist, have to be common to all mankind. Otherwise, it can't be true, right? Something that is true, that is genuinely true, has to be common to all mankind. A fact could be circumstance-based or those different types of things. But for example, a high level truth is gravity, right? That's a high level truth. And you could find out more high level truths from studying what's called first principles, okay? You look up this term, first principles. And so when you start looking at first principles, a lot of them are metaphysical terms, physics terms, they are true for everybody. So when you look at these physics terms, gravity, when you look at these, height, weight, all of these different things, they're true for everybody. The more you understand them, the more you can actually understand how to work within them to manipulate certain outcomes, because they're just generally true for everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn over to the video from Dr. Scott Davis. Give me 1 second.
Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Davis. I am a professor of marketing at University of Houston downtown, and I'm quite passionate about entrepreneurship and small businesses, and I'm just delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you today about a topic that is relevant for anybody in business, but particularly people who are trying to find their form of differentiation. How are we going to compete in this marketplace? And, starting from the beginning where you should, instead of just taking a product to market and hoping that it's going to work. So today I want to talk to you about value proposition and present you with a tool that I think you'll find super useful in trying to figure out what your value proposition is and whether customers are going to perceive the same value that you might. So before we look at the tool, let's take a quick detour to talk about value proposition and why it matters, why it's something you should be thinking about all the time and something you should care about. Our value proposition is basically answering the question, why should customers buy from us instead of everything else that's available? And when you have a really clear answer for that question, it means you understand your value proposition. And it may seem easy, but when you actually sit down and try to answer that question, it can be quite difficult. So in order to illustrate this through a real world example, I thought maybe we'll take a company that's global and diverse and that a lot of people have some experience with and look at Starbucks. So in 1971, when Starbucks was just getting started, they were all about selling high quality coffee. They were selling whole bean coffee. This was before the era of Starbucks coffee houses on every corner. And it was really about the experience of discovering these new whole coffee beans and enjoying exotic coffee beans from around the world. And their value proposition centered on that, and they were able to dominate because at that time, especially in the US, there was a focus on lower quality instant coffees in the marketplace. But what's really cool, and I think maybe you'll realize this since we're talking about Starbucks, is that value proposition would not work throughout the lifetime of Starbucks. So it's something that's constantly evolving and changing depending on the needs of the marketplace, depending on the scale of the company. And Starbucks scaled tremendously, of course. So their next step kind of in the value proposition process, the transition that they made was to this coffee house experience. And if you think about, a customer in Seattle going into a Starbucks for the first time, it's going to be much different when they first open versus what the experience is like today. So that value proposition continues to evolve, and it's different in 2024 than it was when they had their first, handful of coffee houses in the Northwest. So here, instead of just to focus on the whole bean coffee, which was still relevant because these are the types of products that they're serving, but the coffee house itself, it was about this comfortable, inviting space. And this idea of a third place between work and home was really the key to their value proposition, because the coffee houses that existed weren't really offering that. And there was a lot that they had going on in the stores to kind of drive this home in terms of comfortable seating areas, the sound and smell from the French presses, the pastries under the display case. All of this made people feel comfortable with, okay, this is kind of my third spot. It's not work, it's not home, it's something a little bit different. And maybe at that time it was a little bit exciting. And then we can zoom forward to 2024 when Starbucks is serving this global audience, and it's more about convenience, still offering a personalized experience, but it's not about beans and equipment, and it's not necessarily about that third place, because often Starbucks can be a crowded, busy place where we're looking for very fast service. So they've evolved quite a lot. I think their value proposition is actually muddier today than it's ever been in the past, which is why there are some challenges, but of course they have tremendous brand familiarity. They've built customer habits, so they have a lot going for them, but that might introduce some competitive opportunity. Suppose we are a startup or an entrepreneur who's trying to get into the coffee business. We want to open a local coffee house. Well, to do that successfully, we're probably not just going to butt heads with Starbucks and hope that it works. We're going to need to offer something different. And that's where the value proposition canvas can be super helpful. So here's the strategic tool that I've been teasing, the value proposition canvas, and it's divided into two main sections. On the right side, we have the customer profile, and on the left side, we have the value map. So I always like to start on the customer profile, and I think when you work on your value proposition, you should also start with the customer. That's just how modern marketing works. We have to offer value to our customers. So in order to do this with the map that you're looking at, again, focusing on the circle on the right side of the screen, we need to understand the customer's jobs. We need to understand their pains and their gains. And jobs are simply tasks that customers are trying to accomplish. Pains are their obstacles and challenges, and gains are benefits or outcomes that they desire. And Starbucks, despite being successful, isn't without customer pains. I mentioned some of these. We have crowded spaces. Sometimes we get impersonal service because they have such a high volume of customers. And maybe the shops lack local character. They don't really have a uniqueness in their offerings other than maybe, for big cities, they'll have mugs with the city name on them. But these aspects, these pains could provide us with vital clues as a local coffee house that's about to enter the market and help us differentiate ourselves. So competitors' pains that customers in this industry experience are our opportunities. And we can focus on offering a more personalized, intimate coffee experience. Almost going back to kind of that middle value proposition I talked about for Starbucks, where they went into the coffee house business. Getting back to that, we want to create a cozy environment, something that's less crowded, where customers can feel like the staff appreciate them, like they're recognized and valued. And having this tailored approach is going to beat Starbucks in terms of personalization and could be a significant differentiator for us depending on what other types of coffee houses are operating in the area where we're looking to operate. We're going to try to do some things with our products and services to create that fit. So again, we're going to highlight the personal connection. We're going to look for local flavors that are unique, things that competitors aren't offering. And again, having this relaxed, community-focused environment, because as Starbucks and some of its other competitors have grown, they've kind of moved away from that. So we need to understand also the kind of local coffee house scene to make sure we're going to be able to compete with them. But if we're going against the giants, certainly having more community focus, having this more personalized experience is going to be a point of differentiation. So with this value proposition, what we're trying to do is emphasize our strengths as a business. We really want to make them shine and be sure that they're resonating with the customer profile. Do these align to the gains that customers are hoping to experience? And do they alleviate the pains that they might be experiencing with some of our competitors like Starbucks and other local coffee shops? So I hope that this talk has been thought-provoking, that it makes you want to download the value proposition canvas. I'm sure we can provide the link to Strategizer so that you can do that, or provide you with the PDF. And your goal here is going to be to apply this to your business and be real honest with yourself about the alignment of your value map with that customer profile. Because remember, in the world of coffee, the smallest bean often offers the richest flavor.
Today's department is the business department, and I'm interviewing my business coach.
All right. And so with that being said, for the sake of for the sake of questions regarding the value proposition, we're going to turn it over to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cleo Franklin Jr. Now, again, I could go on and on about his background and what he's been able to accomplish, from the things he's been able to accomplish in sports to the things he's been able to accomplish in business, helping businesses scale up from what they call it, seed to harvest, and grow and scale businesses in multiple industries and even multiple countries. I still haven't asked this brother how many languages he speaks. I think he speaks at least 3. You know what I mean? But he doesn't, he doesn't want to crush little old us with all his expertise. So I'm gonna turn it over to Cleo. He's gonna be able to ask questions, or answer questions anyway, about the value proposition canvas, and then he's gonna go ahead and roll into his presentation as well. So, but with that, Cleo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Festus. Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good, fantastic. Full disclosure, I want to thank my colleague and fellow professor, Dr. Scott Davis. He and I teach international marketing and global business strategy at the University of Houston downtown, and he gave a wonderful presentation about the value proposition canvas. And it's a tool that I employ. It's a tool that I believe in. It's a tool that I use with my own businesses. But that being said, I want to answer any questions that you may have about what Scott brilliantly did in making something that could seem complex very simple. So questions that you may have about the value proposition canvas before we get into my presentation. And Ole, if you would moderate those questions for me, that would be great. If there's a question that anyone has about what Scott's presentation just went over. By the way, in the chat, there's a link that's being posted to your value proposition canvas. Okay. I guess if there's no questions, let's see, is there any questions there in the chat, Ole?
Not right now.
Okay.
Daniel said he was very clear and understandable.
Fantastic. Well, that's the thing that you want, is someone to be clear and that you can understand. I just want to say this about the value proposition, and then I'm going to go into my presentation. Dr. Davis brilliantly positioned it correctly. The value proposition canvas is something that's going to allow you to get your customers to do more business with you versus the competition. And how that happens is just by differentiating your services and products and offerings. I love the fact that it allows you to really match the customer requirements and needs to what you're offering and providing, and seeing if there's any space there. And I think the value proposition canvas will let you know through that exercise whether or not there's space or opportunity. But beyond the fact of alignment, it'll tell you whether or not your products and services are either meeting the needs of your customers or exceeding the needs of your customers. And more importantly, if you're differentiated enough to delight them, and delight them in a way that they will talk about your business, your products and services in a way that they will talk about no one other than you. And so I think it's great, a great opportunity for you to enjoy his presentation. I teach with him, and I feel blessed to be able to work with him. All right. I'm Cleophas Franklin. I am a professor, again, at the University of Downtown Houston. I'm also an entrepreneur. I worked in the agricultural global business for 30 plus years, being able to run and start multi-billion-dollar businesses. I'm also an author of leadership books, and I'm also someone that's really excited to be here and to share some experiences with you as well. By the way, you can reach out to me at franklinss.com. That's Franklin, ss.com, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, or coffeewithcleo.com, or just Google me. I'm kind of easy to find and hard to hide. That being said, I today want to share with you 5 things that you must know about your business or being a leader, but more importantly, 5 things you must know to grow your business. And I'm going to tell you the first thing that I think is important. I think anyone that's either starting a business that is already in a business, you really need to know what are the things that are driving your business growth. That is, what is the things that are going to make me win versus a competition? And what are the things that are going to make me successful? Because you must know things to be able to act upon them. And if you know them, then you need to execute on them well. But if you don't know them, you can't manage what you don't know. It becomes a blind spot. It becomes a shadow, something hidden from you that you can't act upon. And once you know these things, then you need to not only identify them and determine them, but you need to also track and measure how well you're doing when it comes to the things that drive your business. And I'm going to give you an example. There was a business that was running a global business, and we were developing a product. And I wanted to simplify that product's requirements, and I'm going to utilize the value proposition canvas model as well to make sure that we were either meeting or exceeding the customer's needs. And our market research told us that customers, when looking at this product, and the product was a tractor, and it's an agricultural tractor as well, but it needed to be able to do 4 things. It needed to be reliable, so that's there when you need it. It also needed to be affordable. It also needed to be versatile, because the types of jobs and tasks that were done with this specific tractor really covered quite a bit of activities. So reliable, affordable, versatile, but more importantly, easy to use. Now, easy to use factor was because that many of the customers were first-time users in this particular product category. Now, why was that important for us? The reason why it was important for us is that if we were going to develop a product without understanding what was critical to a success that would drive our business, which our business driver was customers who purchase tractors. Well, if we didn't meet those 4 dimensions of reliability, affordability, versatility, and easy to use, there was no way that we could understand whether or not we were missing a goal. And so we built and developed that tractor based on those 4 dimensions, and we also tracked and measured how well we were competing on those particular 4 areas versus our competition. And I can tell you that when we built the product and we executed the product with the launch, and we also researched the product thereafter for the customers that purchased it, we took our business from number 2 in market share to number 1. We're able to add millions of dollars of profitability to the factory that was producing the product. And that product also won several awards in the marketplace, just because the fact that we determined the things that were essential to drive our business and put us in a position to be successful. Now, at that point, I want to end on this. You may, in your business, probably find out that maybe there's 10 things that really are important to us. And those 10 things we can't basically ignore. But I can assure you, on those 10 things, there's going to be 3 to 5 things based on those 10 that are going to exceed the other 7 and 5 in priority. And so out of those 10 things, if there's 3 things that are priority for you, then those are the things that you have to know well. You have to track and measure how well you're competing on those dimensions to be successful. So identify and track the things that drive your business, know them well, execute them, and it will put you in a winning seat. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, the second thing that I think is important for you to know and grow your business is to test and pilot small ideas. Sometimes we want to hit the home run, or we want to take a big bet and win everything all at once and put all our eggs in one basket. I don't believe in that approach. I think it's important for you to test, to take action based on that testing, and also to learn how well your pilot has done and then repeat it. A business can take big leaps from just small ideas if you're open and willing to learn. And making small bets sometimes are going to return huge learnings back to you that you're going to benefit from. I think most businesses sometimes are afraid to make small bets because they want to win big. But I'm telling you this, small things can turn into big ideas. And I'm going to give you an example. One of the things that was important for us in one of the businesses that I was basically managing was whether or not customers were interested in a certain particular area of trial. And what I mean by trial is just come in and take a test drive for a product. Well, we were trying to get an edge in the marketplace and also overtake two of the top competitors in the marketplace who did not offer a free test drive with their products. And this is in the agricultural space. And so one of the ideas that we looked at was based on our returns of products. And that is the customers who bought the product, were they dissatisfied with the product, and did they return it back to the dealer? Well, pretty much it was almost zero. And if in fact, if a customer returned a product back to the dealership, they end up buying another product that was either more expensive or had more horsepower. So because there was no risk in understanding the fact that there was an opportunity, I tested in 2 markets a 30-day promise guarantee that if you purchase our tractor and you tried it for 30 days, you could return it free and your money would be given back to you. Well, our financial guy was really hot about me testing this new idea because he thought we were putting ourselves at risk. But I assured him with the data and the information based on the fact that we pretty much had no risk based on the returns that were coming back from the products that we were already selling were not really happening. And that this is something that I wanted to test in 2 markets. Well, I tested them in 2 markets and I took 4 months to test them. And guess what? We had 3 products returned with the 30-day guarantee. And those 3 products were returned because customers bought bigger and larger tractors, okay? And so from that test, I was able to take that 2 market small test across the nation, and we were able to promote the 30-day guarantee that customers really took by storm. That year, we increased our profitability by 35%. We went from number 7 in market share to number 4 in market share, just based on a small idea that we're able to learn from that particular test to take it nationally. And so last thing about that particular point is that when you take a small test of an idea or pilot, you are able to control it and you're able to minimize your risk. And that's one of the things that I love about that approach. And so I wanted to express that to you based on the things that I'm going to share with you. So we talked about understanding things that drive your business that are important, that are critical to success. Second thing we talked about is to really test, take action, learn, and repeat by taking small pilots and tests in the market to understand whether or not you can scale something towards a larger opportunity. All right, this is the third thing I want to share with you. And this is something that I think is very important. It's important that you leverage your mentors. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how much you know. But without understanding from others that you trust, information and advice that you can use and to be able to help you see those things that you cannot see that are hidden from you, well, and things that you can learn that you may not know, it only happens if you're able to have a network filled with mentors. I call it your personal board of directors to keep you in check and to help you understand on some of the things that you may be missing on in life and in business. Let me give you an example. When I was coming up through the executive ranks, I had many mentors. And before I put out any idea, I can tell you this, one idea from me, I really ran across at least 6 to 10 people. And those 6 to 10 people have given me their input. And based on their input, they helped further and improve and enhance that one idea I had. So for every one idea, it was filled with gems of wisdom and abundance of experience and expertise and insights from my network that was vast. And what did it cost me to improve an idea? Well, all it cost me was to put my pride aside, to set my ego aside, and to open my mind and be curious about taking input from someone else. And quite frankly, those people in my network, these mentors, are people that complement the things that I'm not very strong in. And so being able to leverage your network and to learn from others, I think keeps yourself in check. You will hear from Wes OKK, as he said, it helps you prevent those blind spots that we can't see behind us. But we're all going to need some guidance. And I do believe that your network is your net worth, but take advice, take input, and build yourself a network of trusted people and colleagues, whether or not it's your friends, your family members, or people within the industry that you're probably looking to get advice from and expertise. But I'm telling you, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And together means adding other people within your network, because no one is successful alone. Okay? All right, that's the third point. Let me give you the fourth one, and then I'll end with the fifth. The fourth point is, in any business, I think it's important for you to survey your customers. And by surveying your customers, it could be as simple as having a survey card that they can print out, that you print out and they can fill out whenever they come to visit your business. Or it could be as easy as a survey that you can place on your website. Now, why do you want to survey people? Well, just like the third point about leveraging your mentors and your network for information that you may be unaware of, blind spots exist in every business. And if you want to succeed, then I think it's important that you understand from the people that you are trying to engage with and connect with, ask them questions. How did you find our business? Why did you come to our business? How well did we do based on what you were seeking in our business? And whether or not, rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 to being great. And last but not least, what can we do better? At company at Mahindra, where I was Chief Marketing Officer and, of course, General Manager of Americas, that's Canada, the US, Mexico, and South America, I implemented a survey on our website. And that survey basically took it was based on an algorithm. I'm not going to give you how we did it, but this is what we asked. We wanted to know who was coming to our website, why they were coming, what they were seeking, what was their purchase intent, meaning when were they looking to buy? Were they going to buy in 30 days or less, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 9 months and beyond? What type of products they were looking for? These were just about 10 to 12 questions that we incentivized these customers to fill out, and they completed them. And guess what that information did? It educated me, it educated my team to a point where we're able to recreate and redesign our website. We're able to recreate and repurpose our value proposition and brand taglines. It also gave us an opportunity to 1 and 2 up the competition because we were more knowledgeable about customers and potential customers who visited us just on our website. But we also did that with current customers who purchased. After they purchased, we sent them a post-purchase survey. These are just small steps of surveying that put us in a position to, how can I say this? Know our customers better than our competition. And by knowing our customers better than our competition, I can assure you that number 5 market share that I was sharing with you earlier, we went to number 3 and became the fastest growing tractor in the United States as well. So by surveying your customers for feedback is important. I want to share that piece of information with you as well for number 4. Now I'm going to get to the last point. I think this will may answer some of the questions that some of you are seeking, specifically and personally. One of the things that I think you should do every day is two things. Create a schedule for yourself. Spend 10 to 15 minutes fine-tuning your calendar to get the most out of your upcoming hours. Also use this time to think and reflect and prioritize or reprioritize to ensure that you're doing the things and leading the activities and not stuck in the things that don't matter. But this time helps you really recharge, helps you focus, and get your day started based on a schedule of the things that matters most to you. And it's only going to take you 5 to 10 minutes, okay? And maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes, but do that every day. Any leader, any business person, anyone that is looking to focus their time, I think before you, for example, if I am someone that goes out and chops down trees, well, the first thing I need to do is get the axe and sharpen the axe or sharpen the saw. This is just your time to sharpen the saw, to sharpen the axe so that you can go out there and cut down trees in a more efficient and productive way. So this 10 to 15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, 30 minutes of spending time to reflect, think about and plan out your day, I think this is important. The second part of that is at the end of the day, take a look at your day and take a look at that list. What did I accomplish? What was it that I missed? And you take that same amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, to celebrate those things and those small wins based on the things that you want to accomplish. I mean, you give yourself an applause when you do that. But the things that you didn't, guess what? Move them over to the next day. But those are the two things that I do as a leader. Those are the two things that I do every day, in the morning and in the evening. I just want to make darn sure that before I start my day, that I'm focused on the things that matters most, that are important to me. And at the end of the day, how well did I do the things that were important to me and that matter? All right. Those are the 5 tips that I want to share with you. Again, create a schedule in the morning to make sure that you prioritize and focus on the things that matter to you. I think it's important. And at the end of the day, review that list. The second thing you must do, of course, is take time to survey and gain customer feedback to make sure that your products are meeting their needs. Why they're shopping you, why they're shopping the competition, and are you meeting their needs? So find ways to survey customer feedback. The third thing is to leverage mentors and build your network of a board of directors of people that are going to complement your weaknesses and the things that you are deficient in so that you can understand and uncover those blind spots. The fourth thing is to pilot and test, to take small steps because there's big learnings in those small steps. And the last thing that I started with is to make sure that you understand and identify and determine the things that are critical to win for your business. I'm going to leave you with this. If your purpose is big, then your challenges and problems will be small. Most of you are here to understand, how do I create my why and how do I build my purpose? You've heard about Ikigai. You also have heard about the value proposition. And I hope the 5 things that I just shared with you are going to be beneficial to you. And I'm very privileged and honored to be able to speak to you today. Questions, comments, feedback?
Hey, Cleo, it's Ryan Walker.
Hello, Ryan.
Hey, how you
Yes.
doing? Got a quick question. As far as like, when you were taking that new product, that new flexible tractor into the market share, or trying to grab new market share, and you were looking for that product, what was the biggest challenge as far as scalability, scaling it up? So you had 2 good tests, and then you took it from coast to coast. Scaling it up, what was the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge for me was really getting the data and justification and the buy-in and building credibility to do the test. This was something that was very unique within the marketplace and, quite frankly, non-traditional. And so I spent a lot of my time, Ryan, in trying to do as much work as I possibly can to educate and to understand, to build this business case in such a manner that when I bring data, quantitative and qualitative information, or information to the decision makers, or to make me feel more confident when I'm presenting my case, so that the answer is always yes. And so the data so you asked me what was the biggest challenge to scale. The biggest challenge was making sure that I were able to get someone to say yes and give me a go ahead so that I could proceed. Now, I'll give you one other point. That's just a soft skill. And I think the soft skill in most things, when we talk about turning ideas and putting them into the marketplace, is understanding who your target is. And that target is who is going to say yes and who's going to say no, and what are the challenges that are going to be a hurdle for you to get this pilot off the ground. And so I understood my audience, and I geared the information based on the things that they were going to object to, or the things that they were going to look to make sure that I provided, ensure that I had an abundance of information, that when the meeting came to present this proposal, instead of them doing their heads this way, they did their heads this way, because of the information of knowing who I was speaking to and getting the building justification case based on what they were looking for. Does that answer your question?
It does. Appreciate that.
And last thing, testing. I measured that pilot. Any pilot, I'm a big fan of pilots and testing, or beta testing. I always made sure that my beta test had at least 3 to 5 objectives. This is what we're testing. This is what we're looking for. This is how we're going to measure success. And here are the insights that we're going to share after that. And this is how this is going to be applied broadly when we launch. Taking that process and approach has always benefited me, because I don't believe in going into anything blindly. I call that management by meandering. I don't like to meander. I like to have focus. I like to have clarity in anything that I do, because time is valuable. Thank you for the question, Ryan. I appreciate that. Any other questions for me?
Yes, Brother Cleo. Susan typed in a question there in the chat. It's a really good one. On your personal board of directors, does this include adversaries, or only people that are in your corner and would be supportive?
Susan, that's a great question. I'm a big fan of getting really good feedback that is unfiltered and unfettered by the fact that you may be thinking like me. I want people to think differently. So does it include people who are adversarial to me? Maybe polar opposite in how I approach things. I would say the fact that we do have linkage, people in my network, I trust them. I don't necessarily know if I would trust an adversary, more or less because their intent, but I look for people that think differently, because I'm interested in diversity of thought. I'm interested in, if we're all thinking the same, then no one's thinking differently. So I just try to go out and get people from different walks of life with different industry experiences, and that are unlike me, and that will be able to give me a tidbit or a gem or two that, quite frankly, I would never have thought of, because of my perspective and my position and how I approach things. So maybe a shorter answer to your question, not an adversary, but counter to how I approach things. And last but not least, I look for people in my board of directors who, really complement the things that I'm not very strong in. For example, I'm not a very patient man. Patience is not a virtue that I have. So I look for people who are patient. I'm very methodical in how I approach things and process oriented, but I want people that will probably take a little bit more pause and time and consideration in the thought process to ensure me that I need to take the same approach. So sorry for the long soliloquy of an answer, but adversaries, no, but opposite in how you approach things, yes. Thank you for the question, Susan. Any other questions for me?
Theo, I got a question. I love where you're going, and what you shared with us. So for the customer survey questions,
Yes.
you said, how did you find us? What do you like about us? And then there was two more things.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to basically, how can I say, put a governor on me. How you put a governor on the vehicle if it goes 100 miles an hour, but you want it to just go 50. So you have the governor on me. you're going to ask for the other two things, but I'm going to give you just a sequence of more. First of all, how did you find us? So what drove you to us? Or how did you come into our business? The second question is, what are you looking for? The third question is, when you basically visited us, our website, or came into our store, did you find what you were looking for? The third question I would ask an individual, based on understanding their preference, if there's competition in the marketplace, was there anyone else that you were considering beyond us? Because I want to understand who my competition is, the ones that are known and the ones that are unknown. The other thing I would ask is this: how well did we meet your needs based on what you were looking for? And I like to either do a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being excellent, 1 being poor or horrible. And that way I can quantify it. And the last thing is this, that I think is important. Based on your experience, well, it's 2, A and B. Based on your experience, would you recommend this to a family member or friend, right? I think that's important that you ask. And this last one is an open-ended question. And I'm a man that, if you're afraid of the answer, then never ask the question. The question is this: is there something that we can improve on? And this invites the customer or partner or supplier to engage with you and give you some insights that you would never get unless you were going to ask. And so I think those things help you uncover those hidden opportunities. So that's a little bit of the survey process that I would take. Is also predicated on what you're seeking for, the intent of your survey. But I think that's a basic survey that anyone can use. And so how can I say it? Just $5 words for $1 million advice right there.
I'm gonna take it and get that million. so I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh man, thank you so much for sharing with us. Excellent 5 points. I think you rocked the house. You rocked the Zoom. You rocked the Zoom. So yeah. So we appreciate you. I know you probably go camera off, but if you could stick around, because after Wes goes, we'll open it up for general questions. And then we'll close out. So with that being said, thank you again, Cleo, for your expertise and insight. And so now we have the one and only Etch a Sketch. This is his nickname is Etch a Sketch, because this brother here, his background in engineering in many different dynamics, from commercial to residential. And then eventually into product design, and then the product sales and product management, both locally and internationally. He is very, very sharp and to the point. One of the things I love about Wes is he's going to calmly tell you what to do, and when you don't listen, it's going to cost you time and money. But he's not going to rub it too much in your face. So anyway, with that being said, we bring brother Wes to the floor. Wes, you want to go ahead and come on up?
Sure. I'm here already. And good afternoon, everyone. Name's Wes Okeke. Thank you for the intro, Festus. And thank you for the introduction, Ole, and the video that was shown, as well as Cleo. Cleo and I have spoken quite a bit regarding purpose and mission, vision, values, and service, which I will touch on probably quite a bit today. And I did go through your questions. The questions were really, really good, or why you're here. I'm in the link. I'm putting a video that I watch probably every month. I've been watching it for the past 8 to 9 years. I've worked with probably 100+ startups over the past 10 years. I launched a startup incubator in 2013, 10 years ago, and I still run that. It's a tech. It's not just tech. We also do non-tech, but primarily tech, because that's my background. And I also run a life science, biotech, medtech accelerator. And these incubators and accelerators work with startups. So All the startups I work with have had, different ranges. Some are services, they're not always products. And, my business is a service business, right? I'm not necessarily selling a product, even though it is quote unquote a product. It's more of a service in helping people. But understanding your why is incredibly important. And I'm giving Ole multiple points here for talking about Chick-fil-A. I use Chick-fil-A, Southwest Airlines, Costco, IKEA, and several other companies in a lot of my talks. So I've talked to most of the universities on entrepreneurship here in Houston and UT Austin as well over the past 10 years. Very, very passionate about it. I needed to understand my why at one point. My background is, as Festus alluded to, in corporate, which I left about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, I left corporate. But my why was driving me in so many different directions, and I needed to nail it down. And my wife said to me 10 years ago, she says, hey buddy, you need to go after this why before it's too late, before you die. You need to go after it, or you're gonna regret, right? And I believe that God gives us a calling. The word vocation is the Latin word for calling, and I believe everybody has a calling for the career. And because of society and different reasons, we pursue, we put different priorities on what we're going to do and what we're going to accomplish. And so all the entrepreneurs that I talk to, I try to get their mindset shifted to not just doing something great, but leaving a legacy, right? Leaving your mark on this earth in a positive way, as Festus mentioned, that not only takes care of you financially, but more so impacts the lives of others. And so all the different talks were phenomenal. But this link I put into the chat is Simon Sinek, and he talks about the why, right? This is the why. And the title is about how great leaders. But I want you to really just listen to it. It's 18.02 minutes. Listen to it. It really nails it down on the why. It'll probably inspire you to think differently, right? And again, it has been my guide for the past 8-9 years or so. So yeah, in corporate, I used to launch products. New products, and I covered all of North and South America, so Canada, US, South America, Mexico, and then was in Japan and Europe every year, discussing marketing initiatives, as well as product development. And one was a $50 million company, which was the last one out of Silicon Valley, and the other one was a $200 million company, and which was purchased by Teledyne, which is a much larger organization. But both of these companies, when the products were handed over to me to launch, I realized, they're missing the target with the customer. And one of the products they had spent about $1 million plus in development. They were still making changes and changes and changes. Kind of a lot of what Cleo mentioned, they did not do. And I went back to them and I says, okay, guys, why did you develop this? This is, well, it's faster, it's cooler, it's cheaper, it's smaller, all these great features. And I says, okay, that's nice, but why did you develop this? And they went back to the excitement of what they were building and not who or the people, the human being they were building it for, which is very, very, very critical. And so from that, it sparked for me a need to address this change address this issue with not only organizations, but then also founders, because this is what I see a lot when someone starts a business, and including myself. And when I started my business, fell in love with the idea, right? We fall in love with this great thing we want to do. We're passionate about it. But then, we can lose sight of the impact it's supposed to make, and we start focusing on the product and not the people that it was intended for. And this is where, out of, I don't know, 100, 200 types, different startups, this is where I see the diversion or the problem take place where they begin to divert and they've lost sight of the person, and now they're in love with building the business. So that's just a quick pointer on that. So I'm just gonna put up one slide real quick. Hopefully I could share my screen here. And this is this slide actually, or this PowerPoint is a PowerPoint which is I call creating a stronger strategic value proposition. And this is pretty much developed behind the 4 components that you see on the screen: mission, values, a solution, and a vision, which pretty much everyone has touched upon. And in doing this, what I have startups do is, first of all, I have them watch that video, the Simon Sinek, The Why, right? It begins to open up their mind. It helps them look more internally, because all these companies that I mentioned earlier, and Chick-fil-A that Ole mentioned earlier, when I've studied them out, the founders or those that are running them, there's some significant things about them that they have addressed and built the foundation of their business on. And that's internally, right? So they've looked internally, which I strongly suggest every founder do. Look internally in yourself, including the blind spots as Cleo mentioned, but look internally and start building the foundation internally, and then you come out externally, and now you're able to properly take who you are based on your mission, your values, the solution, the vision you have, and now you're able to target it and set it up to address the problems that you see, the people that you want to target, address the problems that they are experiencing. So if you don't know yourself very, very well, then what happens is, including the blind spots, you begin to make changes consistently, changes missing the target, and you're not really taking from what's within and addressing what is out, right? And the last company I worked for was a $50 million company, as I mentioned, and the owner, definitely a purpose-driven person. He had a good why, but he did not utilize it and build that foundation. So literally every 6 months, the company was changing direction. And so these 4 points I'm going to try and run through very quickly will help you now, and I'll share a little bit of how they're going to help you launch a powerful value proposition, helps you set yourself apart. And this is what Chick-fil-A has done, and Southwest has done, and Costco has done. Deloitte, which is a very large organization already, in 2015, the new director or the CEO decided to make it a purpose-driven entity as well. And this is understanding their why, the foundation of who they are, and then building from within in order to properly address what is externally. And so, with Chick-fil-A is very, very interesting. I think you mentioned this, Ole, I'm not sure, but Chick-fil-A is the #1 customer service company in the United States. And they sell chicken, right? And the reason being is they have a very clear mission, they have strong values, and they have a vision of what they want to accomplish. Southwest Airlines, very, very similar. They consider themselves at times a customer service company that happens to fly airplanes. IKEA has its own very strong mission as well, some strong values. They had a very large competitor coming out in 2017, and all the media was out there talking about that IKEA finally has a competitor that's going to compete and potentially take them down. And in April 2017, that company closed its doors and never shipped one product because, in my opinion, their mission was very off base anyway. But let's jump into this very quickly. But again, watch that Simon Sinek video when you're done. Watch the video. I'll say it one more time. Watch the video. Just watch it at the end. I think it's going to provide some very, very, very good insight. So when a person, and even if it's a very large company, we did a small project for Exxon, and they weren't really excited about doing this with us, but kind of persuaded them, and it was really good. In fact, it was amazing. The team gave us a standing ovation, and it was just me and two other people that went in there and took this project, and we did it in this fashion, in providing them the early stage of creating a very long-term strategy for their product. And so it works. The mission. And so when I help someone with a mission statement, it's not, we are going to do this, or we have set out to do this. And the majority of mission statements that you hear and you see and you read talk about what they're going to accomplish and not why they're accomplishing it, right? And this is very, very challenging. And I'm going to tell you some statistics that's going to help you just stay the course with what I'm going to share. And if you forget everything else I say, just remember this number. It's 91%. 91%. So a survey was done, and this survey was published by Forbes, I think around 2016. And if you ever need the link, just hit up Festus or Ole, and I'll get it to you. But the survey was done over 600,000 people worldwide. And what it said about the 600,000 consumers, it says that 91% of consumers will move from company A to company B. 91%, right? That's a huge number. That's a crazy number. But 91% of consumers will move from company A to company B, even if company B has similar branding. Okay, sometimes we like to set ourselves apart by branding, but even if company B has similar branding, similar features, well, I'm gonna have different features to offer. Now, these things are good. A great brand is good, don't get me wrong. Great features and great services are essential because they solve a problem. And also, company B had similar pricing. But still 91% of consumers would move from company A to company B, even if pricing, branding, and features were similar. But they moved to company B because company B had a clear purpose, a why that was communicated. And why is this important? Because at the end of the day, and so most of my sales and business development and launching products was to large companies, multi-million-dollar companies. But at the end of the day, I tell everyone, we are human beings. The person that made that decision on the other end at Hologic, which is a large company in Boston where I used to live, the person that made that decision was a human being. And they needed to understand why I was selling this and not what I was selling. Why? What was the reason? Was there a greater purpose in why I was doing this, or was I just doing it to make a buck and to have them as my customer? Hence why all my customers, I treated them more as partners than customers. So when I have someone do their mission, I have them look into, first of all, I have them watch that Simon Sinek video, and I have them write out, why are you doing this? Not, I am doing this because this is the best technology, or this is going to change your life. And that's a really good mission. But when I share, I'm on this journey, or I've developed my business or launched my business because I believe, or I understand the challenges that you are going through in your life. Yeah, with this large billion, or I think it was $1 billion company, we understood, or we understand the challenges that you are facing with your product. We understand it. We have gone down that road. What takes place because we're humans is that immediate connection and trust. And now they understand, or now they know that we have resonated with them, right? That connection takes place. And again, it doesn't matter how big this company is. At the end of the day, you're going to work with another human being. And that's something we cannot change. In fact, good and bad marketing is it relies on our emotions as human beings, right? And so some bad marketing goes out there, and they're targeting our emotions, because we make decisions, based on our emotions, and then we bring in logic to determine yes or no. And marketing people know that very, very well. But I have companies figure out their mission statement by the why. Why am I doing this? Not what am I looking to accomplish, but why. And I normally have them start out their mission statement in the beginning with, we understand, or we believe. It helps them craft that mission statement in a way that is sharing why they're doing something, what they believe in, opposed to what they are going to do. Very, very, very critical. Okay. Now, why does that help? Because it helps in your decision making, in everything you're doing. Why am I doing this? It helps in the decision making on the events you go to, your type of marketing you're going to do, the people you align with. Everything about your business now comes within the boundaries of your why. Without doing that, you're going to be pulled in different directions. You're going to be influenced by different people. You're going to be influenced by different things you read, and you'll see people, if they don't know their why, they start going in a lot of different directions, being pulled. And now you can change a lot of strategies, but this why has to be very clear, because it's a foundational component to your business and to your overall value proposition. So this is why you have to start with, we believe, or we understand. Nail that down. Number two, it helps with product or service alignment. So the product you're developing, or the service you're providing, does it align with why you are doing this? And so there are many, many companies that launch things and it's not aligned with their why. And this thing they're launching, in all honesty, is pulling them away from their why, and they're struggling. There's an internal conflict going on. And if they don't bring it back to their why, they're gonna have a lot of problems, and most of the time there's failure at the end, right? And so understanding this why, nailing it down, and then living within the boundaries of your why is critical. I talk to startups and mentor startups a lot, that their minds are in so many different things, and they're focused on so many different things. And I'm always trying to get them to come back to their why, to make sure that their whatever they're focused on aligns with their why. Thirdly, you may not know much about an early adopter, but an early adopter is very, very critical to your overall business. So, and that's a person that is going to very much align with your why, and they're going to see it. Now, they're influencers, and they're influencers typically in your space, and they're there to support you once you find out who they are. First, you got to determine who they are. But once you find out and determine who they are and connect with them, 90% of the time, they're going to help you, advise you for free. Why? Why is this important? Because they believe in what you are doing. They believe in you solving a greater problem. They may not be the ones that are solving it. They may not be the ones that want to solve it, but they fully see the problem and they go, oh my gosh, you are solving the problem accurately. And so knowing your early adopter, and again, if you go to our website, headwayidealabs.com, you can get more information on that. But this is why you must have a strong mission that aligns, that is developed from your why, not aligns with your why, but is developed from your why. Secondly, your value, what you value. And so I normally have people take a core value test, because it helps them determine what are some things that you value that are extremely valuable to you. And so then when they know what that is, I tell them, okay, now these values are very important, because you must adhere to these values. Now, I've worked at companies that were horrible, but they aligned, and just because of the leadership and the infrastructure wasn't good, but they really aligned and resonated to the things I valued. And because of that, I loved working there, even though it was dysfunctional. And then I've been at great companies that were running very well. In fact, the last 2 corporate jobs ago, I was at this company for about 9 or 10 years. Excellent company. And my boss says, Wes, why are you leaving? And it was a great company, but they didn't align with my values. And just because they didn't align with my values was not a bad thing. They did not align. And so, and I'll get into the 3 points there, but understanding your core values, the things that you value most. So for example, for me personally, I value personal growth. So all the founders I work with, it's just naturally, I want to help them with their personal growth. Even though, you know, they may fight it, they may buck it sometimes, right, guys? I want to help them with their personal growth. That's something that I value because I value them as human beings and I want to see that they grow. Second thing I value is I value partnerships. And so if you go to my website, it says harmonious partnerships. That's extremely important to me. So everyone I partner with, I want to see their growth as well. And I want to see this mutual beneficial relationship. And the third thing that I value is sustainability. I want to make sure whatever I'm doing, that it lasts for a long time. And I'm not just doing something that is going to last for a short time, but I go deep and I want to put my best in whatever I'm doing. So understanding your core values is going to help you in many, many ways. Number one, it sets you apart. The values that you experience from Chick-fil-A, Southwest Airlines, IKEA, Costco, and multiple other companies, Airbnb, it sets these companies apart. And as Ole mentioned, one thing he did not mention was Chick-fil-A beat KFC out of $2 billion a year back in 2005, working only 6 days a week, half the number of restaurants. Why? Because people experienced, and it's just chicken for crying out loud. And their chicken is great, but it's not the best chicken I've eaten in my life. But the experience that their customers have is very important. And it has set Chick-fil-A apart. So when people understand their core values that they have and they nail them down, now they ensure that their customers are going to experience these values. Again, why? At the end of the day, we're all human beings, whether it's a large company or people one-on-one. These values, your core values, are going to be very, very key. You can go online and you can find several core value tests that you can take. What I suggest is you pick the top 3 or 4 of them and you write out, what does this mean to me? Why does this resonate? Why is this important to me? Even when you're bringing in, working with other partners or bringing people on your team, you got to make sure they align with your values. They could be phenomenal in skill. They could be sharp because they could have a ton of experience. They could be even really good people. But if they don't align with your values, you're going to see this diversion because they value these 3 or 4 other things and you value these 3 or 4 other things. And you can imagine when someone values these things above these other things, there's always going to be conflict. And so I always suggest if you bring people on your team and if you're going to partner with other companies, make sure they align with your values. But again, it helps you set yourself apart because your customers now need to experience these values. Thirdly, solution, which is I call the product is a painkiller. It solves a real problem, right? You must have a solution, whether it's a service or a product that solves a real problem. And I'm always going to suggest, as Cleo mentioned, that you go and you do a lot of customer interviews where you're finding out, okay, did I really solve a problem? Is this the real problem? Is this a symptom of a bigger problem? Which I see many entrepreneurs are solving a symptom of a bigger problem. And when that symptom goes away, so does their business, right? So really having customer interviews early on, meeting or finding your early adopter, they're really good at helping you ensure that you're solving a real problem and not a symptom of another problem, right? Or a bigger problem, sorry. And so, but you need to know what that is. And this solution is going to help you ensure that there's success. So you have your mission, which is your why. Creates product alignment, helps you with your decision making. It helps you align with an early adopter. Then you have your values. It sets you apart. It's something that your customers, your partners, your employees need to experience. Yeah, not just your customers. Your partners need to experience your values. Your employees or anyone you work with need to experience these values. And people that are going to have a positive impact in your business, you need to make sure that they align with your values. And then the solution which I call as a painkiller. It must really address a real pain, a real problem. And then fourth, but not last, is the vision. And a vision is long-term vision. And what I have people do is I have them write a story, right? And typically a page and a half. And this story has 3 sections. And this is when you're going to develop your vision statement, right? And I says, okay, Emerald City, let's look 10, 20 years from now, or 5 to 10 years from now. In a perfect world, if everything went perfect, what does the world look like based on your service, your product? So I have them write this vision story. It could be fictional, it can be real, but I really like to have them do a fictional story, not more than a page and a half. First half page, I want you to I have them write a story about a person, a character. I want to know name, age, race, background, where they live. I want to know everything about this character as much as possible, as if it's a real person, in depth, right? And then the problem they're struggling with. That's the first half page. Second section to this vision story is they come into contact with your business, with your product and your service, and certain interactions take place, right? And so that's the second part. Certain interactions take place, and in those interactions, you're solving their problem and their pain. What does that look like? Right? And the third part of this story, which is the third half page, their lives have changed. And what does their life look like in a perfect world that now your product or your service has made that impact? First stage, first section, background of this person. Second section, they come in contact with your business, with your product or your service. Interactions take place. What does that look like? And their problem is solved. Wow, that's good. But now, how do you envision their life has changed based on that interaction? You got the person before you, the person interacting with you, the person after you. Now you do that and you write that out. The first thing you do now is you go succeed with one person. You're able to see that those steps take place, right? Who they are, they come in contact, and now you see the impact it has made and how their life has changed. Yes, even B2B, that takes place because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Now, doing that and writing out that story helps you clarify where you see success. Now I know that I've been successful. And now I need to learn how to automate it and improve and make this process repeatable with the same type of quality. And now I need to tack on a charge. How much money can I make to make this change and this transformation in this person's life? But what this vision story does, it helps you clarify where you see success. Now I know I've been successful. This is the very point that I can acknowledge that I've succeeded, because I've seen this person who I envisioned was here, and they came in contact and interacted with my business, and now their life has changed, and I can envision it, I can see it, and now I have done it, even though it's with one person. Now let me go to number 2, number 3, number 4, right? And this helps clarify where you are successful. And this is where now you say, okay, I need to make it repeatable with the same type of quality and improved quality as well. I need to tack on a charge. But this is good because now you're really going to find out, because a lot of times we come out with pricing on how much we're going to charge, but now you're going to find out how much your product or your service, what value it has, and how much they're willing to pay. And sometimes we charge too much, and sometimes we charge very little, too little, because the value we're providing them is very, very huge, and they're willing to pay much more. But you need to do this first. Number 2, it unites the focus. When you have laid out this vision story and you know what this, and you write out your vision statement based on this story, it helps everyone on your team that's involved understand the focus. This is where we reach this is the goal. This is the focus point of success for our business. We are all working in tandem in different ways, but we're all working to see that this person's life is changed in this way, and that they experience these things in regards to interaction, and we fix this problem. Very, very important to have that nailed down. And lastly, is the long-term business strategy. This helps you with the long-term business strategy. You have this vision in mind. It helps you with all the strategic components in your business, from marketing to sales to customer adoption. Everything you're doing, it helps you with the long-term business strategy so that you're successful. So again, these are the 4 components in regards to your value proposition and implementing them in order to be successful. And again, basing these on the internal perspectives of yourself, and then being able to deliver it to your customers. And I think that's it. If you have more information, you can reach out to me through Ole. And thank you very much for listening.
Man. Thank you so much for dropping these gems. Really great, are grateful and appreciate you sharing your insight and your wisdom and awesomeness. So thank you so much. So we want to open up the floor. Unfortunately, for the sake of time, we're not going to just do questions for Wes. We're going to do questions in general. Okay. So what we could do is we could take 3 closing questions, and then after that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ole for kind of our final call to action and testimonials and whatnot. So are there any questions directed at Wes, or just in general, that you thought of during this session? Anybody, any questions? Floor is open. Okay, I'm gonna ask one more time. Any questions that you have overall through any of the things presented about your business, or an idea that's aligned to what we discussed today?
This is Susan. I just have a question about the why statement.
Okay.
When you're writing a why statement, do you also, and you say, I understand the challenges of X, whatever that challenge might be. Do you just state that you understand the challenges of whatever X is, or do you in turn also say, have a follow-up statement that says, I want to provide, and then go on to be what your service and or business would provide? Or do you just leave it at just an understanding of just the first half of that, I guess, you know?
Yeah. So Susan, thank you. This is a really good question, because I hear this a lot, or I see this. I don't mind people doing a second sentence, but sometimes people go and they do 4 or 5 sentences and lose. And yes, you could, to answer your question, yes, but I would not make it more than one extra sentence, right? So we believe, or we understand, hence we do this, right? And so that is fine, but don't write too much where it takes the impact away from the why, because that's what you want people to remember is, oh, they understand. They believe, they see it. They understand what I'm going through.
I love that. And just kind of, I think one of the ways that we do this with students at LYS is we try to find kind of the calling or the thing that you're solving. So we kind of start out similarly, not maybe we believe statements, but maybe I plan on impacting X for X reason. What's the reason why I'm impacting X person? So, for example, I plan to impact children by becoming a pediatrician, right? Because, and usually there's a because statement, because my pediatrician helped me when I was sick, or because I don't like sick children, or whatever the because is. And then we kind of have a little bit more, but that's more student based. But that's kind of how we lay that out. So thank you for that question. It's a really great question. Okay, let's take one more question. One more question. Anybody? Floor is open. One more question. I know our notepads are full. Our notepads are full, and so many gems dropped today. So,
well, I'm just gonna answer a few if you don't mind. There are no questions, but I'm just looking at the beginning there. So, for example, with Blake, regarding helping his web logo business attract more customers, yeah, I think nailing down your value proposition. Now, when you watch the Simon Sinek video, he's going to say, sell only to those that understand your why, that resonate with your why. And that's very important. You're going to be able to speak their language. And this is why it's important to nail down those 4 things that I mentioned, because the terminology you start using is going to resonate with that human being that is going to make that connection, right? And it's going to help you set yourself apart from all the other people that are doing web logo design. You're going to understand your customers, and you want, now think about this, you want people that value what you're doing. And I learned this the hard way by reducing my costs in order to get customers. And the customers that don't value me, I don't want them to be my customers. And you got to learn to swallow that pill, because at the end of the day, even if you charge them little, they're never going to be satisfied. Those that resonate with your value and appreciate your value, they're gonna always think, man, I'm not paying this person enough, and they're going to become loyal. And this is the importance with those 4 components. It creates customer loyalty even when you screw up. It brings in or helps your employees to be 100% committed. It creates very strong partnerships, and it sets you apart from your competitors. So I just want to mention that real quick. And then the other thing regarding what Ryan had asked.
Hey, Wes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, Wes, can I just add on to
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Is Blake, are you still on?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Blake, do you have customers that currently do business with you?
I have a few.
Okay.
It's not always consistent though. It's
Okay.
usually by word of mouth.
Wes gave you a great answer. I'm just also going to give you some more tidbits. One of the things that is important is that the customers that do business with you based on your business, ask them why. Do you know why they do business with you? Blake, that's not rhetorical. I'm asking you that question. Do you know why they do business?
Oh, okay. I thought you were. I thought it was.
I'm sorry. It's not rhetorical. That's the professor in me. But do you know why?
Just because, I mean, I feel like I give great customer service. I go above and beyond.
Blake, I have to stop you. Not what you think. Do you know why from what they tell you? And it's okay if you don't know. Have you asked them why?
Not necessarily, no. I haven't asked them why. They have given me reviews though.
Okay.
And from what I've read, from what they put on my site, they say that, I go above and beyond to try to help them. I answer any questions, and I'm always available, even past my my hours. So
that's good. Well, I just wanted to tell you is that one way is to understand, to attract more customers, like the customers that are doing business with you. Ask those customers why, and what is it that attracts you that you've done. But I would also ask them, is the business that you're doing with them, these are current customers, is it good enough that they would recommend or refer you to a family member or friend?
I believe so.
Yeah, but I would add, so if that's the thing, I think charity starts at home. So the customers who are doing business with you to model why they're doing business like you, and to go out and try to have those guys be advocates for you to sell your business for you.
Okay.
Yep. And don't turn them into customers, turn them into advocates that'll go out and promote your business as well. I just wanted to give you that piece of advice. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Thank you both.
No worries, Blake. With Ryan, I would suggest doing the vision story and just accomplish one person at a time based on your schedule. I think those 4 components are going to help you nail down your passion and your focus, because if we don't hone in on those things, we will get distracted. And I know what it's like in your situation where it's like, oh my gosh, I've lost track of staying on this mission and now I'm trying to get back on it. But nail down that vision story, find that one person at a time, and you're going to get a really good feeling when you see that one person you've helped through that stage to the point of success, and you're going to want to repeat it again and again and again, and the motivation is really going to grow. And so those are the only 2 things I wanted to mention.
Absolutely. That's great. And I'll tackle I just a little bit, only because I've gotten to know you a little bit personally regarding aligning a business that aligns with your purpose. You know, a lot of people think that, and this kind of goes to Cleo's point as well, I think. A lot of people think that, oh, I just have this one business and this one business is going to be the one that works, when really a lot of entrepreneurs might have 3 or 4 business ideas that fail. And then usually after they fail the first 3 or 4 business ideas, the 5th or 6th one, they're like, oh, no, now I kind of got it figured out. And so I think it goes to Cleo's point of test piloting, right? And so maybe instead of just saying, hey, I have this business and this needs to make it, maybe I test pilot this business idea. You know, maybe I work that for 6 months, and, you know, I keep my purpose, but maybe the business idea can kind of change, you know, a couple of times, right? So that way I say, okay, this business fits my purpose, and then that way they're really aligned. So you could say, hey, man, maybe I have these 3 or 4 business ideas. I don't know which one to choose, but the more I understand my purpose, I think this business idea aligns with that purpose. And you could go 6 months in this idea, or a year in this idea, a year in this next idea, a year in this idea. And then you'll start to see, like, okay, this is where I'm getting the most traction. This is where I'm able to live out my purpose the most. And then I can expand on that, right? And then start developing it from there, right? Because again, sometimes I think in the social media age, we take all that outside pressure and think, I need to succeed the first time, only time, and, you know, I need to Snapchat it or Instagram, you know what I mean? Do it for the what do they call it? Do it for the gram, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, with that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and for joining us today, because our hope and our goal is that as you grow as individual business owners, or even working with a team within a business, or working at your job and just helping your job scale, the job becomes more purpose-based and becomes more fulfilling and more meaningful to those who are there and those you're going to impact, right? So that way we're not just, you know, just doing stuff for a check. We're doing stuff that has meaning and that has purpose. And then hopefully you guys can take on interns and hire employees, and we want to see growth. So Olay's going to kind of close out today and talk to a little bit about kind of what the future is of what we're doing and how you can help us to continue to help you. Okay. So with that, Olay, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making this decision. Like I said in the beginning, thank you for coming, right? For making this decision, right? Let's think about where we started from. I said from the beginning, you're making a decision here that's going to separate you, that's going to differentiate you from everyone else who is doing the exact same thing as you. Right? So thank you so much for making that decision. I know it wasn't easy. It's not going to be the same from here. I guarantee you. Real quick, if you can, just type in, did you get the sauce? I just want you to say, you know, was this beneficial? Was this helpful? Right? Did I learn something? Did I learn more than what I knew before? Did I take something with me that I can take from here? Just go ahead and put that in the chat there. I want to again thank Dr. Scott Davis. I want to thank Cleo Franklin Jr. I want to thank Wesley Okeke. I want to thank Festus Amoye. If there's one thing you picked up from every single person who talked today, it was the wisdom, right? You can see the applied knowledge that they've had throughout their years of experience and how it's paid off and how beneficial it is. Okay, real quick, just some final thoughts for you. From this point, I want everyone here to be a sponge. Be a sponge. I got my notes here. I don't know if y'all saw what I was going. I was taking notes on every single person, right? Be a sponge. One of the big things I picked up was letting your ego go. Letting your ego go. That point that I heard there about finding those mentors, and thank you so much, Susan, for that question, right? Super, super powerful. Okay. This is not going to be an easy process. It's not going to be an easy process. You know, Instagram has kind of changed the way we think about this thing, right? Kind of like Festus said, we think it's a very white collar type of experience where I'm going to go here, I'm going to look for stakeholders and how do I approve. You're doing those things, but it's dirty. It is not easy, right? You're going to learn so much about yourself in this process. I say about 6 or 7 years, I have learned so much about myself. And, you know, I find myself saying, I am so weak at this. Because as you start to push yourself and you start to work within your purpose, you understand what's required of you and you start to see where you're short, which is awesome. A lot of people say, oh, that's bad. No, it's awesome because you know something that you're weak at. So you start to build around that. Real quick, if I could say, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by, his name just left me. John Maxwell, yes. If you can, ABE Books, get it on the low low, right? If Amazon has a cheaper version, go ahead and get that. Awesome book. Okay. What we're going to do is, if you can, go to YouTube, Laddering Your Success. If you go to YouTube and you type in Laddering Your Success, subscribe to Laddering Your Success on YouTube. That is where we will give you the link to this video. The link to this video that we just went through today. Okay. And a couple more things before we go. I want you to think about who's getting access to what we just got today. Wes works with startups. Wesley Okeke works with startups that are getting that have been able to be funded with millions of dollars. Cleo has worked with billion-dollar organizations. Scott and Cleo are both teaching MBA students. Okay, so everything that you have gotten today in these last 2 hours, these folks have been working with people that are putting this at the highest level, right? And so I don't, like I told you in the beginning, I don't want you to take what you're learning here. I don't want you to take what we're doing here light. You are setting yourself apart, okay? And we want to continue on this journey with you, all right? Thank you for taking this journey to becoming a purpose-based individual, a purpose-based business. I want to let you know right now, we're looking to do this quarterly, right? So it's not a one and done, right? We're not a college player in the NBA, going to be here for 1 year, then jet to the league. We want to follow you throughout this journey. We want to make sure that where you start is somewhere amazing, okay? So we will be doing this, again, we're looking to do this quarterly, and if you do want to come back and join us, there will be a discount provided for you. We want you to tell your friends. We want you to tell your family members. We want you to tell anyone who is looking for that next level, who is looking to take that idea and turn it into something tangible, and turn it into a concept or a product or a business. Okay, that's what we're looking to do here today. Once again, thank you so much for making this decision to join us. Thank you, Festus. Thank you, Wesley Okeke. Thank you, Cleo Franklin Jr. Thank you, Scott Davis. Thank you to you. Thank you to you. Got to give yourself a round of applause for making this decision, right? We hope to see you soon. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you so much. If you love what you have learned today, if you love what you've experienced, we would love for you to stay on and do a quick testimonial. So we can tell our friends, we can tell people in our networks, we can tell those around us about what we're starting here today. So if you would like to stay on and give a testimonial, that can be either, if you want to use just your voice, you don't want to put your video camera on, that's fine. We'd love to have the camera on, but if you can, please stay on and just do a quick testimony. Thank you so much. If not, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being here, and we wish you the best on your journey. Wish you the best on your journey. Okay.
So what was your biggest takeaway from the Jumpstart event with Laddering Success?
I think the biggest takeaway for me was the fact that understanding how to manage time. Time is always the largest asset that you can't get back, right? And it's probably the biggest, I guess, the biggest impediment for most people that's trying to get something off the ground as far as business. So being able to hear from the proven leaders that have done this, the steps that they take with their schedule, it's a constant time management, schedule. So that was a really big gem in making sure that you have the processes and structures in place to be able to plan out your schedule day by day, hour by hour, week by week, and execute. So.
Okay, thank you. And then what did you find the most valuable about this Laddering Your Success event?
I found that the most valuable was listening to you all, right? Looking at people that's, within my culture that are successful, right? People that are on different tracks, look at things very differently, have different sorts of ideas, but are all successful. So I think that, looking at it from kind of a mentee perspective, what can I take away from all the wisdom that's been given, right? This person was in tractors, this person is in tech, this other person maybe in software engineering, and all of the different tools and ideas that they put into place to be successful. That was like the largest takeaway. So, taking everything from everyone and be able to make it my own.
And then would you recommend a Laddering Your Success business event to a friend or colleague?
Absolutely. The reason being is because I think that we're all looking, and I'm very successful in my own right. But I think that we're all, for folks that are looking for growth, this sort of event, this sort of opportunity, think tank allows you to open up those different parts of your mind and your brain that may not be open, right? Just looking at different ideas from different perspectives in different ways really helps get to that next level. So I think it unlocks something special for me, and I think it unlocks something special for others.
Oh, dang, hold on. I forgot to get my headphones on, man.
Okay, what was your biggest takeaway from this Laddering Your Success business event?
Oh, man. It's almost like what you've been telling me.
Do it over again, because your camera was.
Oh, my bad.
What was your biggest takeaway from this Laddering Your Success business event?
Man, it's kind of like what you've been telling me, but I think I can't remember which one it was, but it was like know your value, know your worth. It's pretty much what all y'all was kind of saying. Cause I would always be like, I used to be like, man, I'm not trying to charge that much. I'm trying to, but it's like if people are willing to pay for that, you need to sell the product for what it's worth. Don't undervalue yourself, and but don't also overcharge at the same time, because they spoke on that. Yeah, I got on my notes to have a checklist. I don't want to say everything I learned, like the biggest things, because then, that would take away from things. But also one main thing somebody said, they said, leave a legacy, like, or something like that, man. I was just on that. So yeah, I got all my little notes over here. And yeah, stuff like that, man.
So what did you find the most valuable about this event?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, it was just like how he said, everybody come together, everybody has their different aspects of stuff they've done, and like how they've used that in their life to not only make themselves better, but their business better and other businesses better to grow. Like they were just talking about, I think the last person was talking about how like people make stuff because they're excited, but but was that the main purpose? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is it really what your customer wants? It don't matter how excited you are about it. If it ain't what your customer wants, it's worthless. Hey.
And then would you recommend a Ladder Your Success business event to a friend or colleague?
Oh yeah, of course. Especially people they have ideas, because a lot of people have ideas, but they don't know the plan to actually get the idea across. And just the knowledge they spread out like that. One, I'm not trying to take what somebody said. It was for him, but when he said don't try to turn everybody into a customer, some people need to turn into advocacy. Bro, that blew my mind. I was like, bro, that right there, that's it. So yeah, y'all all had your different aspects and the way to touch. So I would definitely recommend this to anybody.
What was your biggest takeaway from this Ladder Your Success business event?
It was a lot of good information. One of the biggest takeaways for me was learning the why, but you have to ask yourself why, but you also have to ask, which I didn't know, you have to ask your customers why as well. And that I thought that was just like extremely important because your customers, you want to know what your customers value in you and a part of your business.
And what did you find the most valuable about this event?
Someone said something about turning your I can't remember who it was, but he said turning your customers into like advocates for you. So and that also goes into like marketing. Even if you're not good at marketing yourself, like your customers can almost in a sense market for you. And so like you also have to remember that your customers are not just customers, they're people. And so like, sometimes when you're trying to make money, people tend to forget that, like, especially as a business owner. And so like, I felt like, it's a good reminder to like, hey, like these people are valuable. They're not just customers, they could be, like I said, advocates for your business and spreading word of mouth.
Would you recommend the Ladder Your Success business event to a friend or colleague?
Absolutely. I stated in the chat, I took full page of notes. My notes are just like, there's no white space pretty much. So I had a bunch of diagrams, a bunch of notes, and I'm definitely going to use everything that I learned today. Everyone was just very informational, and it's a lot of good tools that, I can not only use for myself, but also with other people that I know.